This is the award-winning Lee Pitts Live.
Brought to you by the North Law Firm. For car accidents and negligent security cases, call Joe at 239-337-1191. By Crime Stoppers of Southwest Florida. Report crimes and get paid with nobody knowing your identity. 1-800-700-TIPS. And by Lee Health.
Welcome to Arise to Your Health with Yajaida on Lee Pitts Live, that is brought to you by Suncoast Medical Centers of Southwest Florida. I am your host, Yajaida Vasquez, nurse practitioner, and today we're going to be talking about a very important subject, as we always do, trying to keep you healthy. Today we're going to be talking about cholesterol. So, first of all, as I always try to do, I want to explain to you a little bit about the background of the disease process and all about that. And so, what is cholesterol? A very important question that a lot of people have questions about. So, cholesterol is a little waxy substance that collects in your arteries, and we call that plaque. And so, what it does, we produce it in our own bodies. And it collects in those arteries, and we need it actually so that it builds healthy cells. But if we have high levels of that in our system, then it can produce problems as heart disease, which is what we're trying to fight. And so cholesterol is broken down into different categories. And when you go and get your cholesterol checked, there's three particular things that they'll be looking at. The first one is the LDL, which most people call the bad cholesterol. And that's the one that we look at because that is the one that brings the highest level of issues when it comes to having heart disease, etc. And that number should be less than 130. For other people that have other risk factors, which I'll mention and talk about a little bit later, that can be a little bit lower. Then there is your your HDL, which is the good cholesterol, and that number should be high. That number should be greater than 50. The greater that number is, then it brings down significantly what the other bad numbers are. The third one is your triglycerides, and that number should be less than 150. So if any of those numbers are out of range, you are at high risk for developing further problems. So when this cholesterol is high, and this is all that fatty deposit gets into your arteries, like I was explaining, they grow in there, and it makes it very, very difficult for the blood to flow through efficiently in your bloodstream. So what happens with that is that your other organs, including your heart, have to work really, really hard. And so that's what we try to avoid. The other thing too is that as it collects there in your arteries, it creates a weight onto your arteries and it can collapse. And so that develops a clot that can later cause some further problems like a stroke or a heart attack. And this cholesterol, how we get it is, of course, like I mentioned earlier, we produce it in our own body, so we need it in order to keep healthy. But it can also be inherited. So if you have family members that have high cholesterol, that is a risk factor there for you. But the number one reason besides that, unfortunately, is that we don't take care of ourselves. So a poor diet and poor exercise and having some bad habits are the number one reason that people have high cholesterol. So that's a good thing, though, in the sense that we know that it is a preventable and manageable disease. And so that is why when, as a health provider, you come to see us, one of the first recommendations that we make is that you have a good diet, that you implement some exercise into your regular routine, and that is the first thing that we do. And then after that, if we see that those numbers cannot be managed, then we may have to use some medications such as a statin, which is a common medication that we use. And let's talk about then the symptoms, because I get a lot of questions about that. So symptoms, there are none really. So some people think that if they have headaches or some other issues, that can cause a problem, but in reality, that's not so. So the only way that we can know is that you have to do a blood test and go to your medical provider and have them do a blood test for you. And we typically start to do blood tests at about the age of 10, just to check where you are, and then after that, yearly. What we do then after that just depends on your risk factors. So in other words, if you have a family member that has high cholesterol or someone that at an early age died because of heart disease, then that would be someone that would get more tests done on a more regular basis. So it's important that you know what your risk factors are. So risk factors are, again, having a poor lifestyle, like diet, smoking, which makes your arteries harden, and not exercising. Age is another issue, and then family history and other diseases like diabetes and such can produce those problems there as well. So knowing your risk factors are a major issue there. So what are the important steps in addressing high cholesterol? The number one thing, again, is prevention. So get tested at least yearly, if not more often, if you have some of the risk factors that I mentioned. Eat a good low-fat diet. And someone even today asked me, are eggs a bad thing? And you know what? Nothing is bad. It's just how much of it do you have. So eggs are nutritious and delicious, but you can't just be having eggs every single day without causing a problem. So we need to make sure that we have a balanced diet. Maintain a healthy weight. Exercise at least 30 minutes, 4 to 7 days a week. Quit smoking because, again, we don't want those arteries to be hardened. We want them to be nice and flexible. And if you're going to do some alcohol, do that in moderation. And the last one is stress. Try to manage that because we don't give that enough credit. But that, too, can make you predisposed to some of these diseases. So the key, as always, is understanding that high cholesterol can be preventable and it is definitely treatable and manageable. And the most important thing is to remember that you are in control. So you need to know, again, your risk factors, you need to know your numbers, and then you need to get a game plan in place so that you can achieve success in managing this cholesterol problem. And so make sure that you talk to the healthcare provider, whether it's a nurse practitioner or your doctor, your nurse, and get checked soon so that you're aware what your numbers and your risk factors are. And if you have any questions on this subject, or if you need a great healthcare provider, don't forget to come visit us at Suncoast Medical Centers. You'll see the address on your screen. And you'll also see our website, which is www.suncoastmedflorida.com. And you'll get more information on all of our videos and all our tips and recommendations. And that is all the time we have today. So join us next time when we're trying to keep you healthy right here on your next Arise to Your Health on Lee Pitts and with Yajaida and from Suncoast Medical Centers. And now we're back to Lee Pitts Live.
Hello, everybody. This is Lee Pitts, the host of the award-winning Lee Pitts Live here on Fox 4. We appreciate you watching our show here on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, clicking below. Let everybody else know that they can subscribe as well. Also, when we're on the air on Fox 4, you can also catch us streaming live at 8:30 a.m. in the morning on fox4now.com. Just click on live and you get us all types of ways at your convenience. That's Lee Pitts Live.